Whew, it is Tuesday night, Glenn. We are back on the mics and excited to be here. Of course, I'm James Haskell along with my co-host Glenn Martin, or as most of you know us as Jams and Glam, Chance and Glam, whatever you want to call us. And then, of course, DK is controlling everything in the background, the ultimate puppet master, pulling the strings and getting things done. So we appreciate him as always, and we'll have some words of wisdom from him at the end. But welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another Tuesday night session. Glenn, how are you?
I'm doing good. I just this is the last night of 4 days off in a row, which was a blessing, and great weekend. And look, this is a good way to end a good 4 day stretch. So
absolutely, it was a great weekend. Agree with you as well. For those of you who don't know, Glenn celebrated his 10-year anniversary. Well, it was a while back, but had a nice celebration for it. So I know it was a good weekend for him and the family. It was a touching moment for everyone involved, certainly.
They got me. They surprised me. I didn't think those were a thing, like where you throw a 10-year anniversary party for people, but it's a thing, and it was fun.
Hey, man, when people love you, everything is a thing.
Yeah, apparently. I feel very thankful. Absolutely.
And my in-laws are in town, so shout out to the in-laws. Haven't seen them in 18 months. So, they're out there. It's a good, like you said, it's been a good week so far. I'm excited to talk some Ravens stuff. There's been some awesome stuff in the news today. I put up a question, you guys asking what you wanted to talk about, and you gave us some feedback. So we'll certainly be doing these things or those things. But the other thing I want to mention, in our last video, we talked about the Ravens upcoming free agents at the end of this season.
Yeah.
And there are 10 of them, if I'm not mistaken. And we put out a challenge to everyone that watched the video. And obviously it's retroactive. You guys can go watch it now. It's ongoing. And if you get 3 that are guaranteed, give us your 3 guaranteed gones from those lists. And if those 3 are actually gone, you're accurate, we'll send you a shirt, unless you are outside of Canada or the United States. Unfortunately, we have not figured out how to get through customs yet.
By the way, just to let you know, Adam V has put his name in the hat. Adam 78 also put his prediction, and Anthony Cavallero. So keep them coming, and I'm recording them. So we're gonna see who the big winner is.
That's right. And look, by that time, you're gonna have a pick of the litter. You're gonna have a McBanger shirt. You're gonna be able to have we're gonna have so many shirts by that time.
That's right.
It's going to be ridiculous. So yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. The other thing I want to do quickly here before we get into it is I want to shout out our newest Patreon, Mike, who apparently has no faith in my ability to speak Spanish and roll my R's, because he has an intricate last name. But certainly he said I was going to pronounce it wrong and murder his name. But Mike Echevarriate, thank you for being a Patreon. We appreciate it. We love the support. And
I just went from 6 to midnight.
That's right. So anyway, glad you joined the team. And a lot of folks are really excited about DK's writing. Bill Seals, I know, is getting a lot out of it, and I know I am as well. Yep. So that's a nice ad and an opportunity for all you guys as well. But Glenn, oh, look at Bill Seals, dude. His shirt's stuck at the border.
At the border?
Hopefully not that border. That would be like a kennel border, right?
Yeah.
Bill? But like the border.
Yeah,
right? Like
that's a shame.
Yeah, that's too bad, because he's out in Canada. In British Columbia, I think, right? So if I'm ever out there, I'll just bring you one in person.
Yeah, we'll just swing it by. We'll just drive by.
So hopefully you're able to get it. Let us know if you have any issues, and if you need to work on like a refund or something like that, let us know. But all right, Glenn, we got some big news as far as the Ravens offseason practices with other teams. What do you got for us?
Yeah, so the Ravens will have, we talked about it before, are they going to have any joint practices? Well, yes, they are, Jimbo. They're going to have a joint practice with the Carolina Panthers at Wolford College in Spartanburg, South Carolina on August 18th and 19th, ahead of the preseason matchup between the two teams, August 21st at Bank of America Stadium. And I'm encouraged. I'm happy to hear that it is the Carolina Panthers. I think they have some exciting weapons on that team that I think will give us a good look, for our defense. And obviously on the defensive side of the ball, they're still growing there. They're still working. I'm not really that familiar with a lot of their defensive guys. I mean, I know a lot of their offensive guys from playing fantasy football. And of course, DJ Moore being being a former Terp and a favorite of mine, I know him pretty well. But yeah, I'm excited to see them taking on another team. I think they get more out of these joint practices, Jimbo, than they get out of preseason games and they get out of training. I think they get more out of these than they do out of any other type of offseason preparation.
Yeah, 100%. And apparently Sam Darnold is looking like a brand new guy down there. Apparently he's been tearing it up in camp. But I tell you what, your environment can make all the difference, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, you hope for everyone to prosper except – the Patriots and Steelers for the most part, and Baker Mayfield. But I'm terrible. But no, I mean, that'll be exciting and a lot of fun because, in the back of both of their minds, they're competitors. And so Sam and Lamar came in together. They will be forever linked together in the same draft class. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, if you ask me, Lamar Jackson is head and shoulders the best quarterback to come out of that draft. And I think a lot of people would agree with that. But Sam certainly, I think, was projected to be, he was the number 3 pick in that draft.
Yeah,
he was projected to be. A lot of people thought he had the most potential. He was really young. Yep. Arm talent, all this, and so that'll be interesting. The reason you don't know any of the defensive players, Glenn, is they drafted like 80 of them last year. Remember that?
Yeah, a bunch of new guys on that side of the ball, no doubt about it.
Now, Glenn, I have another question for you.
All right, let me have it.
Our boy Bill Seals is wondering how much of a gamer you were, Glenn, if you'd add him on the old Xbox.
I should. You know what? I think we might have to make that happen. I mean, I did play a little today. I got a little Warzone in today until my frustrations got the better of me, and then I had to put the old sticks down. But yeah, I like to pick up the controller here and there. There's no doubt about it.
Look, Bill, don't let Glenn. He's hustling you right now. Okay, he's hustling you. Glenn. If you, I'm just gonna tell you, Bill. If you're gonna play Glenn, you got to come correct.
Well, yeah. I mean,
because Glenn's a gamer.
Been doing it a long time. I tell you, my son's turned into one heck of a gamer.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll carry the squad. I mean, my son will carry the squad. You just can't turn that mic on because he'll scare everybody away with his little voice. They're like, no, he's going to be terrible. He can play. The little boy can play. So, yeah, I'm passing the reins down to my son. But yeah, we got to get something together.
Yeah, so
we'll talk about
Bill,
that on the Patreon.
Yeah, exactly. You can send us a message or pay. I don't even know how that all works because I had N64 and that was it. So
yeah, it's been a long time.
So certainly, but I'm sure you'd be open to that. That'd be fun. Awesome. Okay, so we talked about the Panthers.
Yeah, I want to talk about something else. Also, the Ravens announced that there will be training camp practices open to the fans.
Is 410 Sports Talk going to be there?
I tell you what, I was there last time they were open. So Jimbo, we gotta be there.
Do you have dates already?
I do. It says registration begins July 15th, and there will be there will also be an open practice July 31st at M&T Bank Stadium. But to get 1-day passes, we have to register online and get and do so on July 15th when they become available. And they're going to have it open for 1,000 fans. It's an awesome experience. Kids absolutely love it. They have all types of events set up for them, obstacle courses and different, football related activities and events, and then free ice cream to everyone. I mean,
hey,
if that's not enough to get you in there, I don't know what is. And then a whole bunch of other things you can do. Great food, great atmosphere. I love how they have so many different fields, Jimbo. But what they do is they rotate each unit around, so you don't have to constantly you don't have to find the best spot, and if you don't get the best seat, then you're out of luck. Now all the seats will be front row to Lamar Jackson and whoever else you'd like to see up close and personal at one point or another. So they definitely rotate and they do a fantastic job there. They have a lot of shade. So yeah, I'm excited. We got to get out there, Jimbo. It's gonna be tough though. We gotta get one of these passes. They're gonna be slim pickings.
Yeah, certainly. Is there a time that it says that it's open, like right at 4 p.m. or right at midnight or something like that?
It doesn't say, as far as what I'm finding, but I'm sure as the date nears a little closer, they'll have some more details.
Yeah, we gotta reach out to old Garrett Downing, our buddy Garrett, to see if he can give us some inside information.
I'm trying to get in the castle.
That's what I'm saying, man. We got to figure out what we can do. But certainly, look, let me tell you this, Glenn. I'm the self-proclaimed best registrant of seating for Southwest. If any of you know how Southwest seating works, 24 hours beforehand, you got to check in right at 24 hours on the dot to get your seat zone, or else you're screwed and you're sitting in the back near the bathroom, baby. And let me tell you what, I never pay the extra for the guaranteed like check in ahead of time because I'm too cheap, and I'm right there, right on the minute, baby. Bam. I'm
glad to have you on my side for this one.
A45, baby. I'm in A45 range. That's what so don't worry.
Nana Rave, 11 a.m., July 15th. Set your calendar, Jimbo.
That's right. It's gonna be on.
Yeah, because I need to go there, and I need to see these guys up close and personal. I'm gonna bring the binoculars. I'm gonna bring a notepad.
Now we got to talk about this, Glenn. There's something you can't do.
What's that?
And
no
it's
photography, right?
Well, it's making a lot of news in the media. It's making a lot of noise in the media. Excuse me.
Yes.
You can't film Lamar throwing the football.
I'm gonna have to bring my secret cameras.
Now let me ask you this question though. I saw Pat McAfee today talk about this, and he thinks that Lamar Jackson is being bullied by the internet, and he thinks the Ravens media did him a disjustice by putting out the one video where he threw a dead duck.
You mean an injustice or a disservice? I think you combine the two.
I
and
did.
That's perfectly fine.
Look. What did
DK is disappointed. Say? I mean, you know his vocabulary.
I conflated the. Yeah, you know, it's just that was bad. That was really bad. Look, to my credit, I've been speaking Spanish with my in-laws all day today. My English is very limited today.
Okay, all right.
So yes, it's a disservice to Lamar Jackson. That's what Pat McAfee said. He thinks the Ravens did him dirty in putting out that video of him throwing that absolute dead duck because they had the chance to go back and edit before they put it out. They could have put out 7 out of 7 of his touchdowns, not his one bad throw. And now they can't record him. So what's your take about all this? John said it's just about competition that you can't, that's why they don't want the media outside of the Ravens media recording the guys, Lamar throwing the football, because then they have to police, they have to do this, they have to do something else, they have to do the policing of things they can't control. Where are you at with this? It seems to have been blowing up lately.
Yeah. I mean, I think my whole thing is what's the motivation? If the motivation truly is competitive balance and you're concerned that they may film something key or integral to the construction of your offense or some new wrinkle. And we don't know. We're big fans, Jimbo. We're no in the know experts of the intricacies of football. So we may not understand. Yeah, we may not understand that seeing simply a formation or a route concept that may give some sort of indicator to the opposing defensive coordinators. We don't know. So if that's the case, then I'm completely fine with it. But if I'm a little bit less fine with it if you're just worried about Lamar's feelings and
it feels like a Ben Simmons thing to me.
Yeah, like we're trying to bait because I don't think he needs it. I think he's
that's my concern. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's the type of guy that's going to be very much affected by some writer writing that he throws an ugly ball. I don't think he cares what any of them think. So
I think he'll just reply back with a picture of his MVP.
Yeah, like it doesn't seem to fit. Now, so I'm just not really sure what the point of that is, unless it's truly if it's truly competitive balance, I have no problem with it. But if it's really just, man, we're worried about his feeling, then I'm a little concerned. I'm like, do they think he needs that? Because from my point of view, I don't think he does.
Yeah, Lamar seems like a very self-assured guy, right? Like,
yeah,
he doesn't seem like. Look, just so you guys know, look, I'm not comparing Lamar Jackson to Ben Simmons, but Ben used to shoot at LSU. The only time he would shoot, practice his jumper was in an empty gym.
Yeah.
In an empty gym, he wouldn't even shoot around his teammates because he was too embarrassed.
That's a problem. I mean, he showed it in that playoff game.
Yeah, but my only. I'm not concerned about it at all. I think it's being overblown. Like, I agree with you. Lamar Jackson doesn't care. He's the type of guy. We've talked to Josh, his quarterback coach. He'll just laugh it off. I don't think he takes it. I don't think he takes it too seriously because he knows what he can do.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's a big deal. So maybe it truly was a clip that got out that showed something that they didn't want shown, and that's why they had to put the brakes on.
And Adam 78 brings up a good point because he's right in that McAfee was the one that really blew the video up with Lamar was throwing the dead duck. So he was the first one to be like, the MVP is out there throwing a duck and this, that, and saying these things. And so certainly that's a good point, Adam 78. But so no stock into this whole Lamar psyche thing?
I don't think so. I mean, does he strikes me as, like you said, ultra confident and is not going to be wavered by I doubt he reads much of what is written about him anyway. I mean, I'm sure if he's on SportsCenter, he might catch a show or something, but I seriously doubt he's out hunting for articles with his name attached to them.
Yeah, no, I agree with you as well. Now let me accept DK's articles. That's right. He's reading DK's.
Well, that's true. That's a fact.
I mean, of course, Lamar's a patron. If you guys didn't know, no, I'm totally kidding. But I was gonna say, in addition to that, I'm gonna stick with McAfee here. He had Ian Rappaport, not Michael Rappaport, Ian Rappaport on the show today to talk about Lamar's contract situation. And of course, what does McAfee really know about Lamar Jackson? Very little, but he seems to believe that a deal will get done before camp starts.
Okay.
And Ian didn't deny that, but also said, and this is where, Glenn, if it's cool with you, I want to bring DK in for a couple minutes to get his thoughts on this, because I think this is important. Hop on in here, DK, because I thought this was interesting in that Ian Rappaport seemed to put all the onus on Lamar Jackson's mother in the negotiating, getting this contract done, talked about the function of an agent and being a buffer for the player. And, that way, and Glenn, you talked about this, to where the player doesn't have to hear the dirty details. And there's no animosity that grows between the organization and the player, right? But now with it being his mom, they have to treat it differently. But don't you think, DK, it's quite a leap? Glenn and I both kind of said this. It's quite a leap for them to assume that it's her in the room, where Lamar's been very clear that she's his business manager, not an agent in this circumstance, and he represents himself. Like, sure, she's there. She's his mom. She's there talking to him. But what's your take on that assumption that's just being made?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty overblown. It's hard to say how credible those thoughts actually are. I mean, do they come from somewhere? Did someone say something specific about her role? I mean, my feeling is that it's probably, I mean, if you don't have a single agent, then it makes more sense that you do some of that work by committee, Or, I mean, I don't doubt that his mom might be involved, in a pretty strong way, but I mean, she can't be the only person looking at a contract, for instance, and reviewing it all by herself and, determining his schedule or whatever. So, I think that it's hard to, I think there's a lot of assumptions going on with the role of her mother, just because her name is out there. I mean, as soon as everyone said, Lamar doesn't have an agent, and his mom was handling his business affairs, I think people just kind of conflated the issues, threw it together, and said, "Oh, well, she's playing the role of the agent." And I think that's a mistake. I think it's an assumed thing may not really be true. But I'm sure she has some sort of role, and depending on how Lamar decides to carry it out from here, I'm sure that she has some sort of role. And my thought is that he's probably getting help by committee to push that contract through.
Now, are you still of the idea that this deal, since it didn't get done earlier in the offseason, is most likely going to get done next year? Like, right now, it's really, the train's already headed down the track when it comes to this season. Lamar said to him the season already started. Like, are you still there, or have you kind of changed it up a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple wrinkles, or there's an order to these things, right? So one kind of interesting fact is, if Josh Allen or Baker Mayfield get their deal done first, I think it's easier for Lamar to piggyback and do his deal, because you can try to do kind of like a carbon copy thing, take a look at their contract. What did they get? And he could push for a little bit. So now you have a template, right? So that makes it a little bit easier. For him to do the deal first would be more challenging, because they've got to do it from scratch if they don't have an agent. And there's a lot of different factors involved. When you have an agent, that agent may represent other people, and there's some, kind of leverage things that agent can bring to the table, to the team as well. If you don't work well with that agent, or if, they try to lowball that agent, he could screw you on a different contract with a different player. So
there's like Orlando Brown and Mark Andrews had the same agent, right? And who knows if something like that might come to head with Mark Andrews' deal.
Right. So if there's no agent involved, then you take that element off the table, makes it a little bit harder to negotiate. And so, my thoughts are that Josh Allen or Baker Mayfield will be first in line, or I should say before Lamar, because it's a lot easier for Lamar to piggyback off their contract if Lamar remains without an agent. Yeah,
he can just walk up to him and say, "See this contract? Add 15% on top of this, and we got a deal." Right?
Right.
You know what I mean? Certainly.
A lot easier to do that, for sure.
Interesting insight you got there, man. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah,
as always, bring in the knowledge, right, Glenn?
Yeah, absolutely, every time. And but I do want to. I know we're kind of talking about this, but I kind of echo a lot of DK's sentiments, and I think that there is a chance though that there will be a contract during this kind of 3-week lull period right now. So I'm not so sure if it's next year. I think we could be close to announcing something, but I guess we'll have to just wait and see. But Cakes Mitchell says Hollywood 1,000-yard season, or is the room too packed now? And by the way, Cakes, I checked out your YouTube channel. I don't know if I think you saw in the comments somebody mentioned we should do have Cakes on our show, and I checked out his YouTube channel, and I'm not sure the other guy's name, but two funny guys being silly, and so they
he was the one that made a joke about my cakes, remember? During the live.
Right.
That was really funny. It was a play on words with Cakes Mitchell, and then he was talking about the cakes. Like, that was funny. That was good stuff.
Yeah, no, I watched the show. I watched a couple of their quick videos, and yeah, pretty funny. And by the way, I agree. Arms for legs. They had a legs for arms or arms for legs debate. Clearly, arms for legs. Just think of the versatility there. But anyway, to his question, Hollywood 1,000-yard season, or is the room too packed now? To me, I still am confident Hollywood's going to get to that number. And the main reason is because of the connection he has with Lamar Jackson. Anyone who knows, if you play, I don't care what level, all the way up to all the way down, if you're friends with the quarterback, chances are you're going to get some targets out there. So
look at Dennis Pitta.
Exactly. I mean, while I think we kind of both agree that Mark Andrews is his go-to in something situation, I think Hollywood's right there with him. I mean, they're so similar as far as their targets, their production. Them two are kind of interchangeable in being his safety blanket and his, most trusted wide receiver or receiving target in general. So I think he's still got a really good shot. If I had to say, man, because Sammy Watkins is gaining a lot of steam right now. He's making a lot of plays in training camp. Apparently the chemistry is gaining quickly. Who do you see as the leading receiver out of the receivers, not including Andrews, the leading yardage receiver in this group?
To me, there's no question that it's going to be Hollywood Brown. In fact, I think that the addition of Rashad Bateman and Sammy Watkins, and obviously, like you said, Sammy coming out of camp hot and things like that, it only helps Marquise because now there's so much less pressure going to be put on him. It's so much more difficult to put all your emphasis on him as far as the wide receivers in the passing game, as far as like shading your defense and things like that. It's going to be really hard to do. So in a one-on-one scenario, especially coming out of the slot, I think defense's knees are knocking, thinking of the idea of trying to keep Hollywood Brown from getting over the top. And, getting downfield on a seam route and things like that. He's just too fast. I think that this takes pressure off him. I think this year you're going to see a guy that's loose playing with house money. Because, I think the field is really going to be his oyster at the end of the day in that now defenses know it's 3rd and 9. They're going to 89 or 15, right? Lamar's got the whole field wide open with Bateman, with Sammy, with Mark, and then with Marquise, and, not even to add guys coming out of the backfield. So I think that this will be his statistical best year for sure, based on the lack of, the defense being unable to just focus on him in the outside passing game.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think this is a big year for him. I think he's already shown he can do a lot. He can go inside, he can go outside, he can run the jet sweep, he can do the quick play, he can go over the top. I mean, he can just run. He's a very versatile guy, and I think he's going to be bigger, better, more polished and more aggressive this year. That's what I want to look for, more aggressiveness out of Hollywood, both as a route runner, but also at yards after catch. I want to see him. Let's see what you got. Let's see you shake a couple guys. Now he did a little bit of that.
Saw flashes at the end, right? The end of the season, I felt
a little bit. Yeah, but I want to see more of it, and I want to see it consistently throughout the entire season. But look, no reason for me to be anything but optimistic. I know they're going to be working together throughout this little lull period. They already have the best chemistry on the team, and I think it's going to be even better this year because I anticipate they'll be traveling to the games together like they have, all throughout their careers together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've said this before, Glenn, you and all the other faithful listeners and viewers might be tired of hearing this, but let's not forget, in all honesty, this is his first offseason without a surgery.
Yeah.
First offseason without surgery, that's a big deal. So certainly going to be interesting to see what he does being completely healthy the entire offseason, working out with Daniel Harper. going out there with Lamar hitting it and having the pressure taken off of him as far as the other receivers as well.
Yep. Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. Darren Siegel? Yeah, or Seagal.
I bet you it's Siegel, don't you think?
It's probably Siegel. Darren Siegel says, thoughts on Sims putting Murray over Lamar
now
in his QB rankings. Is that true?
Now, Darren, let us know, send us a link or something, because according to our guy, DK, and let us know if we're wrong here, send us a link. Lamar is number 6 and Kyler's number 7 in Chris Sims' QB ranking for 2021.
Yeah. And it's Siegel, by the way.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, he clarified. So,
gotcha.
What I'm seeing is that Lamar's at 6, Murray's at 7. According to what we're seeing, that Lamar's a little bit higher.
It's all good, though. Don't worry about it. They're all good.
Yeah, it's all good. Don't worry about it. And Asmodeus Thanatos says,
back with the McChickens, baby.
Always feeding us. Appreciate
hey, man, he was gone for a while. We appreciate you coming back, man.
That's right. Yeah. So, we got to get out and actually, I gotta have a McBanger. I got to do it.
You got to do it. And we'll have to
do it on a day off, though. Because I might need some time in the restroom. Cam Wee says, bold predictions. LJ will have a better season than his MVP one, and will have 3 1,000-yard rushers, and LG won't be the leading one. P.S. Get on that Instagram. Jimbo?
I told you, after July 4th weekend, Instagram is going up. Mm-hmm, we have a new contributor to 410 Sports Talk and free labor in my significant other, my better half. So my wife will soon be running our social media outlets, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll be on all of it. I think, like you were saying, Glenn, about Cakes Mitchell, they were telling us to check out his TikTok. I've literally never gotten on TikTok before because I'm not a social media guy. You can call me old. That's fine. Yeah, but he's old. Certainly we'll be on all of it. So Cam, don't worry. After 4th of July weekend, we will be up and running on Instagram, and we appreciate it. But this is interesting. Bold prediction from Cam Wee, and Glenn, you and I have had some bold predictions we've been right on, but this one, I don't know if I'm ready to go out on that tree branch. You might be by yourself, Cam Wee, because 3,000-yard rushers. Oh, Lamar won't be the leading one. Okay, so Lamar could still be one,
right,
but not the leading one. Still, I don't see it.
3 of them is. I think that's going to be a little tough. I think if you tell me 3 will get to 750, I'm on board with you because we've seen them do that, but. I guess we shouldn't say it's impossible. I mean, in 2019, Ingram and Lamar went over 1,000, and Gus got to 750. I mean, so it's not out of the realm of possibility, and especially when you consider there is a 17th game, so there is one more game's worth of opportunity for guys to put. But yep. I certainly agree with them in the sense that I think Lamar will have a better season than his MVP one,
and that's crazy to think about.
It is. It absolutely, especially when people say that they figured out this offense. They understand how to defend it. I think he does have a better year. I think the run game is more explosive than ever, and we have far more passing weapons than we've ever had at this point in Lamar Jackson's career. And if the offensive line is able to stay healthy and do what we expect them to do, man, I think you're right on when you say. But the question is, will it be good enough to still earn an MVP? I don't think it will be. I think he'll end up getting outvoted by someone else.
Well, and because he'll be a victim of that year forever, right? Like even if he outperforms it, first of all, that would be insane. But he's always going to be a victim of his own success, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And so that will make it more difficult. Certainly, I think that's the same reason why Steph Curry didn't win it this year. I mean, Joker had a great season, but Steph is a victim of his own past success. I mean, this year was ridiculous. First year, I think, actually, that he was the scoring champ. But his MVP seasons were so ridiculous, so memorable that, it just kind of it's going to be hard to surpass that in people's eyes. In the record-breaking year 2019, the Baltimore Ravens ran 3,296 yards as a team.
So you're saying there's a chance, DK?
Yeah. And look, shout out to Gareth M. Cross, one of our patrons out of Northern Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
Northern Ireland. He's watching the show right now and it says, we're killing it. So we appreciate it, man. Shout out. And you see Ing in here. I don't know if he was asking the chat or if asking us.
Oh, sorry. Yep. Same question as Asmodeus. Are y'all going to the Ravens open practice? Well, I looked up the date on that open practice that is going to be free to the public, Jimbo.
What day is it?
We're going to be busy. That's the day we leave to go to Maine.
Oh, is it?
It is. So we're going, full disclosure, we will be going on vacation together. my family as well as his family, going to Maine.
That's right.
Unfortunately, that's the day we're leaving. So I'm sorry, Ing. We'd like to be there. Trust me. If we were in town, we would absolutely. I was there for the last time we had an open practice. I was there with my brother, so I absolutely would
cancel the trip to Maine.
Can't do it. But that would have been. We would have definitely been there and shown out in a big way.
But Ing, this is what we'll do. We'll send you a 410 Sports Talk shirt.
That's right.
So you can wear it there. So we'll be there in spirit.
The question is, are you coming up from Florida, Ing? That's what I want to know, because that's quite a trip. But I mean, we'd love to hear that you're making your way up to Baltimore.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, if you're going to be here, let's do a show together live in person.
Well, we're going to be in Maine.
Well, I mean, like if you're coming up previous to us leaving, like if you're going to come up beforehand. You see what I'm saying? Like if you're going to be up a few days before, hit us up and let us know for sure. Can you bring lobster back to the open practice? It will probably be bad by then. This one is certainly. We like our lobster fresh.
But I tell you what, I told Jimmy, didn't I tell you? That's the one thing. As soon as we get close enough to the shore in Maine, I am getting a fresh lobster roll right out of the water, and I cannot wait.
Yep. The best thing is that they're the freshest, the best, and the cheapest because there's so many of them. So best way. You can't beat that, right?
No, you can't beat it.
No. All right. So Cakes is at it again. How many yards/touchdowns would be considered a good rookie year for Bateman? All right. So I can throw some numbers out there, but DK, I'm going to task you with something real quick. I think Hollywood had the best rookie season statistically, if I'm not mistaken, for the Ravens, at least as far as touchdowns go. So if you could pull up his stat line and just put it at the bottom of the screen, just his yards and touchdowns.
I beat him to it because I'm so quick. I'm so quick on the trigger. He had 46 catches, 7 touchdowns on 71 targets. I think that half dozen touchdowns is a fair number to see a good season. Half dozen. So you're talking about 6 touchdowns.
Man, I think that'd be a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, Marquise just had 7 in Lamar's first true year as a starter. So
I was just thinking, based on the mouths that he's got to, all these guys got to get fed. Where when Marquise came out, I feel like it was just him.
So you think 6 is a little bit too ambitious?
I think 4.
Okay, all right. Well, I mean, I wouldn't be mad at 4, but okay, yeah, 4. Okay, we'll put it at 4. What about catches? Because 46 was the mark.
Yeah, see, I think he goes higher in that. Because I think he's more of an intermediate. Well, he can do more in the intermediate game right away than maybe Marquise could at that point as a rookie.
Okay.
And so I'll say 50 plus. 50 to me would be the what's it called?
The floor?
The floor. Yep. I cannot speak today. Yes, wow. The floor.
See that now? I think you're a little steep on there. I'm going to say 35 catches. I say 35 catches. I'll agree with you on the 4 TDs. This is just my prediction. You've swayed me on 1. You're not going to sway me on my receptions. And then yardage, I'm going to say 600.
I think that's a fair number. Yeah.
I say 600. And I think that the reason is because I think they try and open up the offense a little bit this year. I think we see some decent shots, and also I think some yards after catch opportunities. So I'm going to say 35 to 40 receptions. 550 to 600 yards. That's my prediction, and that would be a hell of a season for him. And I think 4 touchdowns is fair. Maybe get to 5. I wouldn't be mad about that.
Yeah, no. And then in the postseason, right?
Yeah, that's when you expect. He should be at his best. I mean, as long as he doesn't hit that rookie wall that some players do hit. And I think this year,
Rashad Bateman's not going to hit it. You know why?
Why is that?
Because he's got the tattoo, baby. Row the boat. That's all he knows how to do is just work. That's all he knows, man. Row the boat.
This might be the year we see more rookies hitting the wall than any.
With
the limited time they spent on the actual playing field last year. I mean, Patrick Queen talked about how much it took for him to get himself even into shape after that offseason. So maybe some of these guys, now they do have a much more thorough offseason program than Pat did, but also a limited, senior season or, final season in college that I think could impact, how battle tested these guys out, how callous their bodies are. I mean, maybe I'm overblowing it, but we'll see what happens. I'm excited to get, to get to this training camp coming up. I can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait. Who goes to vacation in Maine? Disrespect.
It's called Vacation Land. It's on the license plate, bro. It literally says welcome to Vacation Land. If you don't know about Maine vacation, let me tell you what, you're missing out.
That's right.
That's right. And incredible.
I think Don C has a good question. Do you think they'll pass to JK more often? I hope they do.
If they don't, I'm going to be throwing the remote at the television. It's just that simple.
Yes, please pass the ball to JK. He is fantastic with the ball in his hands. And also, look, we understand Lamar Jackson is the ultimate joystick in the open field in the NFL right now. We get it. But he is also, every time he takes off, there is that chance, there is that risk. I'd like to avoid that risk.
Yep.
And if JK,
don't you think he would too?
Absolutely, especially if DK is predicting if that contract doesn't come till next year. I mean, not that an injury would really diminish much of his value, but I mean, it may impact some of the negotiations. So, I mean, why not get it to your guys, dump it down, make the correct play, and because I mean, JK is just phenomenal in the open field. So let's let him do it a little bit more often. Asmodeus says 3 minutes selling a vacation to me. I don't know if I honestly don't understand. I don't think that the chat, the commenters are really going to enjoy a brochure read by Jimmy Haskell on Maine vacationing, but beautiful, right? We can agree there.
I mean, it's incredible. There's nothing like it in the country. It's absolutely incredible.
We're outdoorsmen.
Yeah. Absolutely. Big time. Mm-hmm. Look, you got lakes, you got the ocean, you got whales, you got trails. You got
and by the way, we already booked an excursion.
Yes.
You know what? You guys might, if you're not excited about this, then you need to check your heart.
You might be dead inside.
We are going on a nature walk, a beautiful walk in the wilderness with nothing but corgis and mini ponies.
Yep.
Running all around me and my family and his family.
Yep. The mystical forest walk is what it's called.
Corgis and ponies.
Yep.
And us.
Yep. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
What more do you need to hear, right?
I mean, exactly. Yeah. No, I'm with you 100%. But the other thing I was going to say too is I wanted to bring up, let me see here.
What were some of those comments?
Yeah,
we had
so
to talk
I was going to
about?
mention that people were talking about throwing. Don C was talking about throwing to DK, and earlier today, if you guys saw, I put out on YouTube a question. What's on your mind for our show tonight? And somebody asked, who is the best running back in the league, and what would be your argument in saying that it's JK? Like, what would be your justifications for making him the best running back in the league? I'm going to be honest. I think that it would be really hard right now to say definitively that he is, but I don't think it's a crazy stretch to say that he could be by the end of the season. Now, it's still a tall task if you're a lawyer trying to, you're trying to justify that, right? But there is a road to victory. Like, there is a path to do it, right? You see what I'm saying? So I mean, for running backs, he led the league in yards per carry last year.
Yep.
I mean, basically that's the best.
It's a big indicator.
You're the best leg you have to stand on. So at that point, it's really about, can he maintain that at volume, and how many chances does he get to show it?
That's the key right there, Jimbo.
Yeah.
Is the amount of opportunity that Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook continue to get each year is unmatched by anyone. No one's even close to their level. They both went well over 300 carries, and third place was Jonathan Taylor at 232. So as long as they continue to put up decent yards per attempt, there's no reason to expect them to not continue to get a heavy workload, especially in the case of Derrick Henry. And then when you look at what Derrick Henry now has outside with A.J. Brown now opposite Julio Jones, I don't think there's any reason to expect a decline from Derrick Henry and his attempts and numbers. So I think it's going to be a hard case to argue for J.K. Dobbins, but even if he did put up a ridiculous season, say he went for 2,000 yards, it doesn't even he'll never get the respect because of Lamar Jackson. He'll always have that reigning over. They'll say, oh, it's just because of Lamar. And so he'll never truly get the respect, even if he were to put up a crazy 2,000-yard season, which I don't expect him to do so. But I think he breaks – look, there wasn't a ton of 1,000-yard rushers last year. I mean, Lamar Jackson was one of them, but I think there only like 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. There's only 9 that went over 1,000. I think he could join that club, become a top 10 guy as far as yardage goes, and still lead the league in yards per carry as a running back. So
yeah,
he'll still have his name in the hat, but it'd be really hard to argue.
Yeah, I agree. It's always going to be different. Extra $2. Ike. There you go, Smodius. Take your McBanger out to the woods. Take the McDonald's with you, the McChickens, whatever, and just have a good time and enjoy the view, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I love this guy. This guy always keeping us laughing. I appreciate it. Sorry about that, Lisa Ann. We'll give Lisa Ann. We'll give Lisa Ann a little love. What tricks will John Harbaugh pull out of his bag if J.K. Dobbins gets hurt? Who will be the emergency running back? Well, I mean,
tricks out of his bag, right? Number 35. No tricks, but
Big Gus will just be in there, just destroying people. And then, of course, Justice Hill is still there, and Tyson Williams. There's still some guy. I think Tyson Williams ultimately finds his place on the practice squad and is called on in case of emergency.
Maybe this whole Todd Gurley thing still gets done. Apparently, we still have the best odds of signing Todd Gurley and Justin Houston.
Well, there you go. I mean, if we got both of those, that gets exciting. There's no doubt about it. Now, obviously, I'm hoping Houston far more than Gurley, but Gurley would be a nice insurance policy for the what if. But
now, Glenn, I got to throw this question at you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to add to this.
Okay.
If you had to pick for 17 games, you can only have one. You knew both of them were going to be fully healthy. Number 35 or number 27? You going J.K. Dobbins or Gus Edwards? One season.
In this offense, I think, man, it would be awfully tough to pass up Gus. The only reason I think I would go with J.K., is because, I still think Gus Edwards is further along in his development than I think J.K. still had. We don't know
there's more on the runway.
Yeah, but I do think that Gus has gotten better every year too, so it's kind of hard for me to say that. I think that I would lean very slightly towards J.K. because of his all-around game, his youth, his experience. I mean, his youth in the league, but experience overall because he did a lot at Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd have to go with J.K. Are you going with Gus?
Yeah, I'm going with Gus. I mean, for sure. For me, but I'm trying to be realistic here. But the thing I like about everyone, when Lamar, I'll never forget, it was one of my favorite times in Ravens history when Lamar and Gus came on the scene at the same time. Mm-hmm. And what I loved about it, do you remember back in the day, like the Stockton-Malone combination? I mean, it was just magical, right? Mm-hmm. Like different than Scotty and Michael because they had a lot in common in their build and they were perimeter players. But Stockton and Malone played off of each other, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And to where I feel like Lamar and his running ability and his style and Gus's style there's no overlap. They do it so differently. They get it done so differently that like every single time, whether it's Lamar coming at you, you got a whole bag of problems to deal with. Then you got Gus coming at you. Your brain has to switch at an instant and say, dang, I got a whole different bag of problems, in front of me, right? And before you know it, you're getting hit in the face. With his face mask, he's trying to headbutt the field goal post, right? Mm-hmm, like that. So to me, that, and I also think Gus is a much better blocker in passing in the passing game.
Wow.
But it's a hard one. It's certainly a hard one. It's not that, but I kind of want to throw that wrinkle in. I mean, I'd be fine with either of them.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I think both of them, I'm happy they're both on our team.
Yeah. My gosh.
Yeah,
great
exactly.
Problem to
have. I think you'd be fine with either one, especially in this offense. I think that J.K. probably provides a little more versatility as far as you could put him in pretty much any offense, and I think he's going to be successful. I think Gus might not be as successful in every offense,
right?
But I think he's a good back either way and quality of starter in any offense. But
certainly. Well, let's keep rolling here unless you got another. I got another
what do you got
here? So we were talking about Lamar's contract, and I know that DK kind of hopped in and talked about this, but Anthony Cavallaro said Josh Allen says he wants to do a team-friendly deal. Do you think Lamar does the same to keep up with the Chiefs and Bills? So in that question, the order by which the contracts will get done would be Josh Allen first. It sounds like, the assumption based on the question. So if Josh gets a deal done that is team-friendly, do you think that can impact Lamar's deal to be more team-friendly? I think either way, the way I would answer it is whether he wants it to or not, their contracts are going to be, they're all him, Baker, and Lamar, their contracts will all affect one another.
Yeah. I mean, of course, whoever's the last quarterback to sign affects the next. That's just kind of how the trend goes. And so, yeah, I think there would be an impact. I don't know how much of an impact it would be because Lamar has accomplished more than Allen. So I think if you're going to go use that contract as a way to lower Lamar's value, that would be a mistake. But this could actually benefit Lamar. I think they could use that as I'm not taking any lower than that.
Shoulders to stand on, right? Say, hey, we're going to start here, bro. But
I think what it could do is what DK mentioned earlier. It could provide framework. It could, use the creativity maybe that Josh Allen's agent comes up with and provide framework for a deal here with Lamar. I think that's certainly a possibility. I don't know how much. Man, I think it's just it's like DK said. He's such a unique weapon that it's hard to put comparisons. But at the same time, Josh Allen would probably be the closest comparison. And when you consider what he does with his legs, he actually has more rushing touchdowns than Lamar at this point in his career, which is, you never think doesn't have as many yards, but he has more rushing touchdowns. So I think in that sense, he might be the most comparable because of the dual threat that he is, and Lamar's the same way. But man, I don't know. I think they obviously impact each other. I don't think it hurts Lamar in any way. I think it only helps him if he does get signed before.
Yeah, for sure. And so, look, for me, at the end of the day, I see a lot of people put in the comment and a lot of people put in the comments, and I understand like the no discounts thing. I don't want Lamar to take discounts either, but what I think Lamar wants to do and what I think is feasible is that if they put their heads together, he can get all his money, but the team can maintain maximum flexibility as much as possible within the the framework of paying your quarterback over 20% of your cap, right? They want to maintain as much flexibility without, Draymond Green said it, you said it before on the show, like without changing Lamar Jackson's neighborhood. You know what I mean? Because that's not the plan. The plan is not to pay him less money. The plan is to maintain flexibility and still give him his money. So I think that really, it's not about the discount. It's about cap manipulation. That's what it's all got to be focused on. And I'm sure that's what Eric is laser focused on. So Luis Cubias says, I think Lamar could take a discount or do a more incentive-based deal because of how obsessed he is with winning a Super Bowl. Actually, Luis, I don't agree with this. I think Lamar wants as much guaranteed money as anyone else, if not the most. But I think he also wants to find a way, just like the Chiefs did with Pat's deal, to once again keep that cap manipulation. I don't think he wants an incentive, heavy incentive laden deal. Yeah, because I think he's already proved himself.
Yeah, well, I don't know why he would sign up for that. I think a player who's looking to rebuild his career would do an incentive laden deal, but not a guy who's done everything you could have asked and more.
But what do you think about that idea that I mentioned, Glenn, about like maintaining that?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's all about the creativity of the deal and maintain and just manipulating the cap and doing it in your favor, so you can maintain a competitive team throughout, not just have it all on the shoulders of Lamar and have a bunch of draft pick. Because then if you miss on a single draft, then you're in big trouble. I mean, then you have to start trying to find guys on the cheap to fill holes because you got draft picks that aren't performing up to, their draft status. The thing that is, it continues to surprise me is people, just going, no, take all the money you can. It's just like, I mean, as a fan, why are there not fans? Why are there not fans rooting for the most cap space outside? Like, why are we? I don't understand the rooting for him to make so much. Like, there's all the money, no discount. Like the Ravens did something wrong during this process. Like, no, take it to them. Like, it's just like an adversarial thing. I don't want it to be that way. I want it to them be working together.
Yeah.
In a positive way to build a good team. I certainly hope and pray that whoever's representing him, if it's him himself, I don't want him going in there going, no, you guys didn't do this and didn't do that, so now I want all the money. I hope it's not like that. That would be horrible. I mean,
that's just a toxic relationship. Let's be in this thing together. Let's be on the same team. Asmodeus, the notice, DK has brought this up before, and it's something that I know Glenn and I have talked about off air, where like I think that's how quarterback contracts should be structured, based on the percentage of the cap. So that way, year by year, they might get paid more, they might get paid less based on how the cap goes. But yeah, they could get creative that way, certainly. But like you said, Glenn, I don't think, I hope that, look, Lamar Jackson is not going to get fleeced by the Ravens for one simple reason.
Uh-oh. We lose Jimbo?
I'm still here.
Okay, here we go. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm here. No, I was going to say, I think some people are defensive of Lamar because he's a good guy, right? And they don't want him to get fleeced. They don't want him to get played, anything like that. But Lamar, that won't happen because it's a very simple fact. Lamar Jackson has all the leverage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All of it. And Lamar Jackson is going to be the point man on these terms here because he has all the leverage. It's really going to be about how they can work together to make the team successful, to keep flexibility, to keep his guys, to bring in new guys. But at the end of the day, I am guaranteeing you all here today that if Lamar Jackson does not see that as a priority behind closed doors and is only worried about himself, he will get all the money he wants and none of the flexibility that the team needs.
Yeah.
And the Ravens will happily do that because Eric DeCosta said that is a good problem to have.
Yeah. Exactly.
But at the end of the day, it's going to be about, like you said, Glenn, not a contentious.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Charged
I want them
argument.
to all sit down and go, all right, how can we do this? How can we give me the money that I obviously earned and deserve?
Absolutely.
While maintaining that competitive ability, the competitive flexibility with the cap. I mean, I think it's just he doesn't want to, he talks about it, and I believe him. He's such an honest and genuine guy. When he says that his focus was on winning a Super Bowl, I agree with him. I believe him when he says that. And I think the way you do that is keep that flexibility. But Cakes Mitchell says, who is your favorite non-starter? And, I had to think about this. I was looking at it in the comments, and I had to think about it. I guess if I tell you, well, first of all, do you have one in mind, Jimbo?
I mean, I think mine for me is easy. I don't consider Gus a starter. Do you?
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
But
yeah,
also
no
my other one is probably LJ Fort.
Yeah. Yeah. I like,
because I don't know if he's maybe is he a starter? How do you see that? Like, does that qualify?
I think it does. Well, he may
start, but he doesn't play high percentage of snaps.
Right. I think if I had to put one on there, to me, it'd probably be Jimmy Smith. I mean,
That's a good one too.
I love me some Jimmy Smith, man. I mean, when he's on the field, our secondary is just different. It's just so different. He's so smart. He's
one of the most physically gifted corners ever. Period. Yeah. I mean, he's massive.
He is gigantic. He walked past my store one time, and he's every bit as tall as me, and I'm just under 6'3". I mean, he has to be up, and his shoulders are broad.
Yeah, he's got bowling balls on his freaking shoulders.
A smart guy, a good guy. I mean, he's always been, a quality guy in the locker room, and obviously continues to be that guy, and is a great leader amongst the young guys, and even some of the veterans are still looking to him for leadership because of how long he's been here. So yeah. I think Jimmy Smith's my guy. I think I'm really rooting for Tavon Young, though, man. But he might be considered a starter because we do run at least 3 corners, I think 80% of the time. So he might be considered a starter, although he's not in our base package. Typically, our base package now is the nickel. But yeah, I think that, Raven, I'm a little under 6'2" and a half. I'll take that extra half if you're willing to allow me to. But yeah. So I think there's a couple guys. Project Pat, I don't know if he's I guess he's a star. I don't even know if you consider him a starter, but he's one of my favorites. I love watching him just smash somebody when he's going through the hole there. There's no doubt about it. There's a bunch of guys. I mean, I like all the Ravens. There's really not a ton out there I dislike. I think there's some I'm disappointed in, but there's not a lot I dislike.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the closest I got to disliking a player was, I really hated when Judon would make the boneheaded plays at the end of the play.
Yeah.
The roughing the roughing the passer, the late hits, the stuff that got a little tiring. But even still, I thought Judon brought a lot to the table, and he was a good Raven, right? But
yeah.
So the other question, the next question that we asked you, the next response that we got to our question is about something that we've talked about before, and something that DK touched on as well was that third spot at tight end.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, who do you think will be the third tight end? So where are you at, Glenn, where's your mind been at as far as, who you think it'll be, and how it'll eventually end up?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I mean, we've been talking about, it's really the decision of, do you want an athletic guy who can catch the ball, or do you want a big slobber knocker who can block? I think that ultimately is what it comes down to. Do you feel, and I think that also could come down to how's Nick Boyle's health. If Nick Boyle is 100% ready to go, you feel good about it, then maybe you can go with an athletic guy who has maybe some upside to develop into at least a guy that can shield block and, not necessarily ever develop into a masher in the blocking, but be enough to at least get in the way. I mean, to me, it's Josh Oliver, right? It's Tomlinson, and then it's the young guys, Eli Wolf and
Breland.
Jacob Breland. Yeah, those are the guys. And then also, what's his name? The tight end out of Virginia, who was
was he a quarterback?
Oh man, why am I blanking on his name right now? Colgan or something. He's got an interesting last name.
John talked about him, didn't he?
He did. Hang on, I'm pulling it up right now. There it is.
DK put his hand up.
Tony Poljan. Or Poljan. I don't know how you say it, but
somebody said Logan Thomas because I said quarterback. I was getting all confused. Said Virginia tight end.
Yeah. No. So I think obviously Nick Boyle, obviously Mark Andrews, and I think ultimately, Josh Oliver is going to win this game if he stays healthy. I think he wins this job. But I mean, I know it's a big if because he hasn't been able to stay healthy to this point in his career. But I think they're hoping it's Josh Oliver. I mean, Eli Wolf, Breland. I just don't know if they have the physicality. If they have, I don't know yet. I guess that's a wait and see. But I think Josh Oliver's got me the most intrigued. I'll say that.
Yeah, I agree with you there in the upside that he brings as a player, right? And I also don't think it hurts him that the Ravens were high on him coming out of the draft, and then he was just taken by the Jags. So the Ravens have had their eye on him for a long time. But I'll agree with you. I don't absolutely hate agreeing with you.
Jeez, man.
But
I'm so disappointed to have to. I mean, look, they gave up. They traded for him for a reason, right? They like him.
Yeah.
So
it may be, so, but what's the true battle? Do you think it's down to him and Tomlinson?
No, I don't. I still think Wolf and Breland. Breland to me, I'm not. I need to hear more from him. But I've heard a lot from Wolf coming out. I've heard a lot from even Poljan. I mean, excuse me. I've heard some from him. I think it's a wide open battle. Though I guess the reason I'm high on Oliver is the upside. I hear him being a basketball guy who came out with great ball skills, and he can run up the seam. He's athletic. He's big. He can run. I like the upside that he brings. I'm not, I don't know the upside. The other guys I think is similar, but I haven't been hearing as much hype as that I've been hearing from Oliver. So I guess maybe I'm just banking on the fact that he's a big athletic guy that can high point a ball and his natural ball skill. I think we had the Jags guy on. Who was it that covers the Jags we had on to talk about Josh Oliver?
I don't know. I just remember he said flapping my gums.
Yeah, that guy, the flapping my gums guy. He thought he had fantastic ball skills, and if he could stay healthy, he could make some noise. So I know it was only a 7th round draft pick, Cakes.
Hall of Fame or bust?
Honestly, I think it's a conditional.
It's a conditional. So if he gets cut.
We give up nothing. We give up absolutely nothing. So I agree there, but there has to be a reason they went out.
And you got to build your case, Glenn. I get it. You got to build your case, man. It's all about framing, right? It's just framing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you didn't have to point out that it was an optional or a conditional 7th, Cakes.
Yeah,
but thank you.
All right, so we talked about the Ravens during practice. That was something else. Another question, which I'm trying to figure this one out here. It says, can the Ravens keep just 2 pure running backs? So that would be Gus and JK and Ricard be the number 3 quote unquote running back in that room to open a roster spot in another position.
To me,
I don't think so.
Right.
We run the ball too much. If a guy gets hurt, look, that means if a guy gets hurt, if JK or Gus gets hurt, your number 2 running back is Patrick Ricard, who the last time he ran the ball, kicked it backwards like he's playing rugby.
Yeah. Now, if you're telling me if there was a game where you said, you know what, we're only going to have 2 backs up. They're feeling good. They're both healthy. Okay. If you want to give me a game where you only have 2 backs up, that's fine. Because if JK were to go down, Gus could certainly handle the full workload of that remaining game, and then you make adjustments in the following week. But not for the season. You can't. You just can't do it. I mean, especially if you risk losing one of these guys who already knows the system, and you risk losing like a Justice Hill to another team. Then you have to bring in a back. You have to get them up to speed on the playbook, and you have to do it quickly in case one of these guys were to go down. I think that would be a huge mistake. Now, they've gone 4 in the past. I don't think this season they go 4. I think they go 3. I think Justice Hill is the 3rd back, and unless they make a move and they bring in a Todd Gurley. And in that case, then Justice Hill's certainly on the hot seat, and I think is going to be looking to be on the practice squad and not the normal roster. So, but you got to have three. You got to have at least three backs in this system. I think you got to have at least three backs in almost every system, but certainly the system that runs more than anyone else.
Yeah, for sure. And you got an extra, game. It's the longest season in NFL history. All these things that are going to come into play. Yeah, you need some depth there. Going to would be way too thin. But, and Adam brought this up, Glenn and I, you've talked about this before, is that I think the difference this year, what they could do to open up a roster spot is break camp with two quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. I guess they did that actually last year. I'm not. They only had two quarterbacks last year, and then after COVID, didn't they bring up Huntley? Wasn't Huntley originally on the practice squad?
Yeah, I think he was a practice squatter. Yeah,
but certainly, I think they'll do the same thing. But instead of it being McSorley and Lamar, I think it'll be Lamar and Huntley. I think that's a little bit of a foregone conclusion, just not public. But I think that the Ravens.
There's some supporters for old Trace out there that really. Want to see, what he's got, but I'm agreeing with you. I think that's a really good way to where you can go a little thin at a spot and keep just two quarterbacks and go, because you might need to go 7 wide receivers this year. It's really, corners. There's a lot of good corners on this team. You're gonna have to cut a really good one. If you want to keep both the recent draft picks as well as some of the ones from last year and the year before. You might have to keep more corners than you'd like. So I think it's going to be telling to see which position group they go light in, which they go heavy. And I think wherever they go light, you can look for, they must feel really good about the guys above them. And whoever they go heavy on, they must think, man, we can't let these guys go because we'll risk losing them to other teams. And we don't want to do that. And I agree with Cakes. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, people have been pushing this nickname, Glenn. You see this?
Glenn Martin, the Martian?
The Martian.
I've never had that before. If it catches on, I'll throw it up there.
Yeah.
I don't know if Martian is that an insult? Should I be insulted? Because I'm not, but should I be?
No, I would take it as like a compliment.
Okay,
you're one of a kind. You're not like everyone else. I'm a Martian.
Can I go with Herb Jones? Because that one I really like.
Wait.
I love that nickname. And if I could vote for one,
Glenn, my favorite Martin.
I'm voting for that one. Thank you. You know what, Herb Jones you're also my favorite. You're my favorite commenter. Thank you.
Now, the other thing I want to mention too, really quickly, is let's see if I can find this. Here we go. So Hal said, I don't see us keeping two fullbacks. I think Ricard gets traded or cut. Sorry. One of the things I want to say about this is that I don't think that we've said this before. I don't think Ricard and Mason are 1-for-1 replacements. I think that they could keep a guy like Mason to do more stuff closely pertaining to what tight ends do, and then also be a bigger contributor in the special teams game. I don't think him, I don't think he's a 1-for-1 for replacement. I think his game has a little bit different of a skill set than Pat. And if one team is going to do it, it's going to be the Ravens. But I don't see them just saying, oh, we have two fullbacks on our roster. I see them saying, oh, we have two football players on our roster that can play fullback, that can play H-back, that one of them we know we can give the ball at the goal line in Ben Mason. He's going to put it in the end zone. We can line him up at tight end. We can, line him up as the extra lineman, whatever. And then one of them can play defense, and they both can play special teams. I think that's how they see it.
Yeah, and I think and Ingraven could be right also. That could be one of the players that finds the IR for whatever reason. There's always those guys that find the IR, and usually they're young guys. If they want to stash them and keep them on the roster, but they can't see themselves cutting this guy or risking losing this guy. So
that's why they're prepping us with like the foot stuff. And remember, he peeled the skin off his foot. It's all laying.
He's so tough. He goes so hard. Yeah, he went so hard. He ran through a wall today, and now we got to put him on IR with a neck injury.
Yeah, he went so hard on that walk to his car that he just twisted an ankle. It
happens. It happens to the best. So I think he could be one because there's going to be at least one or two that find themselves on the IR for an injury that, that way they can continue to learn and groom themselves and become pros.
Yeah.
So Ben Mason, we'll see what happens, but I think it is interesting. I think Ricard could be playing his final year, which would make me a little sad. I like Project Pat.
Certainly. All right, so I'm going to keep this thing rolling, Glenn. This one I think is a really easy one to answer. Will Jimmy Smith and Tavon Young make the final 53-man roster with the young depth drafted at cornerback? Remember, 2000, both corners were rookies and 1 year, were a rookie respectively and a 1-year player. Both safeties were vets and depth at all positions. So that was from Chase Woods. Chase Woods, I think Glenn and I will both answer you definitively and in the same fashion. Yes, Tavon Young is being paid too much money for a divorce at this point. And Jimmy Smith is an extremely valuable player for our team. They will be on the roster. I mean, I don't know any other way to put it.
Yeah, no, they're locks, 100% locks. I mean, there's a good chance Tavon's going to get hurt at some point, but
also 100% lock.
Oh yeah, that's a lock too. But as far as them just getting cut because of their performance, no chance, 0% chance. And Herb Jones, he did clarify it's a play on words. Apparently, Chris Berman used to say Curtis, my favorite Martin, when referring to the Jets running back. So that his play on that, and also his favorite movie, Martian. Is that what he said? I lost it now.
My favorite Martian, the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not his favorite, but I'll take it anyway. But yeah, there's no doubt that they are both locks. I mean, if there's two locks on this roster, it's those two. I mean, they're too highly paid, too important, and I just hope, man. Imagine if Tavon Young he just did it. He stayed healthy. He played all 17 games, and just imagine how good this secondary could be. It could be absolutely ridiculous. But I wanted to also put a little shout out there because it was pretty cool yesterday. Yeah. Somebody pointing out in the comments section about, if you're not familiar with Reddit, you should check it out because it's a guarantee to have something there you'll like because it has everything. But inside of Reddit, there are subreddits that are dedicated. There's thousands of them dedicated to all different topics, subjects. And of course, there's a Ravens one. It has 120,000 members in the Ravens subreddit. And somebody posted in that subreddit asking, is there a Ravens YouTube out there that I should check out? And it was really cool that somebody pointed out that, there was a bunch of names brought up. Sip to Tally, of course, Ing Raven, our guy who's in the comments and always giving us love, and a few other guys. But the number one out there was by all in the crits. I'm not sure what that means, but that was his screen. It's a shout out. And he said, huge shout out to the 410 Sports Talk on YouTube. James and Glenn are the best in the business. They are killing it right now. They love talking Ravens talk. Let's go Ravens. Big trust. So
love it.
Not only did he call, that was the number one comment, by the way, on the thread. So not only did he give us some love, but he did so and gave the complete script of Lamar Jackson's cameo for us. Which we still have yet to get tired of, and we hope you guys agree because we love some Lamar Jackson. We love talking Ravens talk.
That's right.
So yeah, shout out to you guys, and shout out to whoever put that post up. Let's see,
yeah,
all
that was awesome.
In the crits.
Yeah, we appreciate the love and certainly a lot of hard work and sacrifice. I mean, not that it's a sacrifice to talk about the Ravens, hang out with you guys, but more than anything, a sacrifice by our families. Even though I know there's times when my wife doesn't mind that I'm doing this show and she gets her me time, I'm sure she don't mind. Mm-hmm. She might say she does, but she doesn't mind. That's for sure. But the other thing I want to mention here, I think that we've pretty much agreed with everything you said tonight. I'm gonna disagree with you on this last comment, though, my man. It says Jimmy is okay as far as depth and vet head, but
what
if he's like he's a vet, but if he has to play outside, that's a problem.
Who said this?
So this was Cakes Mitchell.
Cakes. He's an outside corner, Cakes. Disappointed. Yeah. I mean, look, Jimmy Smith is a guy he can pretty much play anywhere in the secondary in a limited period of time. You don't want him to go out there and be your starting nickel, but he could do so in a moment of need. He obviously can play man coverage on a great tight end and take him out of the game because of those physical abilities you brought up earlier. But he's an outside corner, Cakes.
That's his natural position.
That's where he started. That's where he's at his best. So yeah, I mean, Jimmy is fantastic.
I think when he's healthy, I think if he's healthy, I think that there are 31 other football teams that he would be a starter on, and they're, and probably 28 that he would be the number one corner.
Yeah. Yeah, he's fantastic. I mean, the guy is. I think I kind of agree with Hal. If he's healthy, he has moments where in certain times he can play as our best. I mean, that's how good when he's completely healthy and he's in the role in which he does, excels at the most, which he's asked to do a lot of different things. So, but yeah, he's still high level, Pro Bowl level cornerback as long as he stays healthy. So yeah, disagree with you there a little bit. Cakes.
I know. I was surprised by that one, my man. Mm-hmm. So another one wasn't really a question, but something that was on someone's mind is they said they saw that Ben Cleveland was the biggest standout of the offseason reported by the Ravens. This makes me happy to hear if true. That was from Adolfo Enciso. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you what, he's certainly emphasis on the word biggest because he was certainly the Ravens' biggest standout physically. I mean, not maybe, I guess the only other guy, if he's walking around Villanueva or if he's walking around Calais Campbell, but even those guys, I don't think quite stack up from a width perspective. No. And so certainly I agree with that, but I've been hearing a lot of good things and a lot of wind in the sails of Ben Cleveland. Yeah. But I also think that John mentioned and made it very clear that this is an open competition at left guard. Mm-hmm. And if you're interested in watching football, then you'll watch that position. Mm-hmm. So to me, the question, is Ben Cleveland the biggest standout? I would have to answer. I would have to say that right now, I think the most I've heard about is Sammy Watkins.
Yeah.
Sammy seems to be the guy in the media that they're like, man, this kid's got it. So where are you at with Ben Cleveland? What are your thoughts? And do you think he's the biggest standout?
I'm excited to hear it. I mean, I'd much rather hear this than not hear anything at all or hear the opposite. I mean, just the fact that he's getting any kind of love. Now, I could be just being optimistic here, and this could be like, one of those psychological things where they give him love and try and boost his confidence. I mean, it could very well be that, or it could be true. It could be that he is one of the biggest standouts. Could be that he is picking up this offense very well, and he's playing very well. Now, the biggest thing for all these guys in the middle and the slobber knockers, as we say, you can't really know what you got until you put the pads on, right? So as good as he's looked, which is encouraging because that tells me he's probably learning the offense and he's getting it down from a mental standpoint. We don't know what we got until the pads come on and we see those big guys smashing each other. We hear the helmets clashing. That's when you'll know, what kind of player they got in this guy. You just can't tell from offensive linemen when they're blocking air until they're actually hitting, right, Jimbo?
Yep. Yeah, 100%. Because, I feel like especially Ben, where 90% of his game is predicated on his strength.
Yes.
Or his ability to move the man in front of him. Yep. And he doesn't have the opportunity to really do that right now. It's like, taking the horns off of a bull and asking him to be a bull. Right? Like, doesn't make much sense. Do we see? All right, let's see here. Do we see a jump in pass attempts? Bill Seals, shout out from Canada. Hopefully you get your shirt. Do we see a jump in pass attempts this year, or will the improvement in quality be enough? So I think what he's saying is like
efficiency, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I see it. I don't think our guy came on, JT O'Sullivan. And people have coined his phrase that he used on our show, rightfully so. He said everyone talks about balance in an offense, and they look at the numbers and say, 40 passing attempts, 40 rushing attempts, 20 passing attempts, 20 rushing attempts, whatever the breakdown is. But it's really about harmony, not just sheer numbers, right? It needs to be a harmonious offense. So I think that there won't be a huge jump in passing attempts, but I think that the efficiency of the offense, you talked about it, Glenn, because I think it's tied to Lamar's performance. I think the efficiency of the offense could be better than 2019, which is insane to think about. But think about what we did that year and the wide receivers that we had that year and the wide receivers that we have now. The O-line obviously was really good, but our O-line can be extremely good this year as well.
Yeah. But I will say this, Jimbo. I slightly disagree, and here's why.
Okay.
I think the pass attempts do jump up, and I think they jump up like a decent amount.
Do you think so?
I do, and here's why. Last year, Greg Roman pointed out that they actually called more passing plays than running plays last season. However, Lamar Jackson turns passing plays into running plays quite often. I think this year we'll see less of that from Lamar Jackson. I think we'll see more dump downs, like we mentioned. I think they'll get the backs more involved. We'll see more of those check downs rather than just Lamar pointing and having them turn around and be a lead blocker. I think just the involvement of the running backs in the passing game and getting those checkdowns more involved rather than just turning and running himself, I think that alone will bump it up. And then I also do believe that the added addition of these extra coaches will bring some schematic change to the offense. And I think that change results in more passing attempts and less, scramble opportunities. I think that this could be the first year that we see Lamar Jackson not hit 1,000 yards rushing. I think that his rushing is still extremely important. The deception that he brings with always having that chance that he could turn and run. I think you still need to have him as a running back. You still need to have him as a runner of the ball, I should say. You still need to have him as the threat. But I think we do see a tick down in his rush attempts, rush yards, and we see a tick up in his yardage, passing as well as pass attempts. I think both of those numbers go up, and both his rushing yards and attempts go down a little bit this year.
Interesting. That's a great point. But I think at the end of the day, just John, year one, he said, look, we're going to run the football and stop the run. And I think that rings true even more with Lamar Jackson and the way this team is built. So I can see your point, certainly, but I would be hesitant to make that bet in that if any, it's just like when a turtle comes out of shell, any noise, what does it do? Goes right back in, right? So any instability in that passing game, what are we going to do? John's going to get on the headset and say, look, stop with the cute play calls. Let's get back to what we know. But you know what I mean? So I could also see that happening as well. But I see your point, because if Lamar, the non-scripted runs, if he starts dumping them off more or making the easy passes more, that number, just that alone, that number goes up significantly. So certainly I can see that as well. But if there's any sort of instability in it, Lamar's going to and he's going to
go back to what you do.
Yeah, exactly. So certainly it's going to be interesting. That's a great point you bring up. But we're going to end it here. But before we do, we're going to have DK hop in and give us some words of wisdom, and then wrap this baby up. DK, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Just talk like that?
Beats me. But I got a little bit of wisdom.
Nice. Just a little bit. You got a lot. You're just being humble.
Well, I'm going to share a little bit of wisdom for you tonight. How about that? Actually, it's not really that much wisdom. Actually, I wanted to open up a discussion, but it's more of a point. Well, my dog barks in the back.
Yeah, your dog is a lot smaller than mine, apparently.
Yeah, for sure. The news of Carl Nassib this week. Actually, today. Was it today?
Yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, yesterday.
Yesterday.
Kind of shared on social media that he was gay, and it kind of went around the media and kind of lit a storm, and people were talking about it all over the league, which is a great thing. I think it's really wonderful, and it just made me think a little bit about the power that players have, professional players, professional athletes have in shaping the narrative that society has in terms of basically social issues, really driven by social media. And the way that I wanted to kind of connect those thoughts was, in terms of popularity. To be 100% honest, I had to try to remember if I heard of Carl Nassib before that, the media storm, because I'm like, I think I've heard of him before, but you can increase your stock as a player, have your popularity kind of, jolted by scenes like this, where somebody shares something that's really electric, or, something that people are talking about all of a sudden. So there's a lot of power in social media, and it gives players kind of obviously a platform, but also some leverage in terms of, if people have heard of them or not in contract negotiations, and whether somebody has popularity in a particular market. And I'm thinking a guy, to bring it back to the Ravens, like RG3. This guy's very outspoken. I still see when I scroll through social media that his name is still mentioned, even though he's maybe a free agent, but his name is mentioned when there's athletes commenting on stuff going on around the league, on social issues, and he's very outspoken.
Torrey Smith,
and Torrey Smith as well. So there are guys around the league like that, and that's I kind of I'll throw it back to you guys, but I don't know how you guys feel about how the Ravens players and where they're at in terms of their own stance, where they, how outspoken they are, and whether that matters, that translates to whether their popularity or maybe even their play on the field.
Yeah, that's a great point. The one thing I'll add to that is I am proud to be a fan of the Ravens, not just because I'm proud of their football team, right? But because of the emphasis that they put on the players that they have on the team. It always used to frustrate me as a Ravens fan when I was younger, and I would go to other states and talk to friends of other teams or talk to people of other, they're fans of other teams, and they would bring up Ray Lewis's issues early in his career and how Ravens, draft murderers and like things like that. And it really bothered me because that's my team. Like, I feel like that's a part of my identity, right? Like, that's my team. And also because they didn't really know who Ray Lewis was. They're just reading the news clippings, right? You're just reading headings and you're not actually understanding all of the story. And so with all of the movements that have been going on throughout the world and the country and things like that, I think the Ravens have been on the forefront. I think the Bisciotti, the Bisciotti family has been out there, been ahead of it, and been allowing their players to use the Ravens platform to go out there and make waves. And so that makes me proud, right? Like, because at the end of the day, football is going to be gone for these guys one day, and they are still themselves. And so using what they have now, I think is awesome. Yeah.
And I agree with you. I think that the Ravens are probably one of the leaders in this, as far as when any type of social issues that come up, they speak about it as a team, and they come out with a kind of a joint statement or action plan. I mean, I know that they've done a lot as far as donating to different social issues. I think recently the Bisciotti family donated to some of the historical Black colleges, I think in name of Ozzie Newsome.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That's right. Yeah, that was awesome. That was an awesome
And
story.
I think wasn't Ozzie, I mean, historically, he was I don't know if he was one of the first Black GMs in the NFL.
I think he was the first.
Was he the first?
I believe
that's so awesome. That like, to me, the Ravens are about, and John always talks about this, but it's about what you can produce, what you can bring to the table, not any underlying other things that don't matter. It's about who you are, what you can bring to the table, and what you can do. Mm-hmm. It's to me, it's a true meritocracy within that organization, right? Doesn't matter who you are, what you like, who your daddy is, what you know, none of that matters, right? Mm-hmm. It's about what you can do, what type of person you are. And so I'm proud. And I'm sure Glenn and of course, and DK as well. Yeah. Like,
just to put a bow on that and to tie it together, I think, the Ravens have a unique way of being able to share that kind of message in a united way, just like Glenn, you're sharing. And for whatever reason, I feel like they do a great job of not having one person kind of stand out too much, and having a team front, a team message, something that doesn't overshadow, or I should say no player overshadows kind of this idea of a united message or something that they're trying to relay, which is great for a team sport like football. So I'm also proud of the Ravens for that fact too. So that's my 2 cents.
Also happy that Carl Nassib is able to live the life as himself and be his true self. So
yep.
Obviously happy for him in that, and hopefully we don't see any type of
backlash
or something, because I mean, let's be honest, there's got to be, if you just look at the numbers, there's bound to be a player or two on his roster that may not necessarily agree with his lifestyle, maybe wouldn't feel comfortable in certain situations with a guy like that. If there's I don't know how the showering is, I don't know how the locker room situation, but there's bound to be a guy or two that, even if he may not, and I doubt he would ever voice it publicly, in his own head may have some issues with that lifestyle. But hopefully we don't see any of this come out, and that they can find a way to work together and not let it be an issue. But I certainly think there's going to be at least a guy or two that isn't thrilled to hear this news.
Yeah, and that's we could go. We could go into that, but yep. I agree with your sentiment, DK, and I know that Glenn does as well. We're proud Ravens fans and the voices that they allow their players to have, and we're really grateful that they do that. Hopefully you guys are as well.
Yeah.
Make sure to go check out DK's work as always every week. He didn't tease us on what he's going to write this week, so you guys will have to find out. No pressure, DK. No pressure at all. This is like, dude, this is what, week 4? You got to come up with Rocky 4 at this point. That's really what you're shooting for.
Yep. Keep raising the bar.
That's right. Bring out the Russian. As in, Drago. If anyone didn't get the reference, I wasn't saying anything about Russian people. But anyway, check us out on Patreon. Check us out on Twitter. All the other places where you listen to your podcast. Check us out on Newsbreak, and have a great, great evening.
See you.